Yes, good afternoon students. So I told you to let us start with the revision, isn't it? तो पहले थोड़ा सा वीडियो में दिखा दूंगी, उसके बाद then we will start with the quiz of the same lesson, that is air around us. हम देखो सबसे पीछे से जा रहे हैं, अभी गार्बेज इन गार्बेज आउट हो गया, isn't it? So next is air around us. So let us start with the video. Just wait, students.
In time. For 6. But before we begin with our lesson, I will ask you some questions, and dear children, you try to answer these questions. So the
exhibition was going to be held in Ankit and Pawan's school. Both decided to take part together. They had to show an experiment related to air. Pawan has come to Ankit's place to discuss about the project.
Pawan, come sit. I will get some water for you.
No, Ankit, you also sit. Ankit, this time we will show such an experiment with air that will amaze everyone.
Of course, but Pawan, nothing has crossed my mind regarding this. What experiment are we going to do related to air?
That's what we are going to discuss today.
Okay, so can we show that air expands on heating and contracts on cooling? For example, if we blow up a balloon, tie it tightly and put it into the fridge, then it will contract in a few hours. And if we put into the sunlight, it will expand again and will regain its size. The expansion and contraction of the balloon shows the expansion and contraction of the air.
Wow, that's a great idea. But it's a bit short experiment and easy too. We need to make something else with this.
We can show that air contains lot of dust particles as well.
Ankit, our teacher herself has shown this to us. One could see small shiny particles of air through the sunlight passing from the window.
Yeah, I do remember. Alright, I am thinking that we can prove what are the components of the air.
Yes, it seems to be fun. Let's discuss this topic.
See, if we take out a water bottle from the fridge and keep it outside, a layer of water forms on the outer surface of the bottle, even when the bottle is closed. Hence, it proves that molecules of water vapors are present in the air. It is this water vapor which causes rain.
Pawan brings an empty glass from the kitchen.
Ankit, do one thing. Cover your mouth and nose in such a way that it covers your whole mouth. And put this cloth on your uncovered part.
Now breathe as fast as you can.
After a while, Ankit starts struggling with his breath. He takes off the glass from his mouth.
Pawan, I was suffocating.
Ankit, you were suffocating because we inhaled air in the form of oxygen. As there was limited oxygen in the glass, When all the oxygen present in it was consumed by you, you have started suffocating. This is because as the glass still has some amount of air in it, but all the oxygen in it is being consumed by you, and its space has been taken by the carbon dioxide exhaled by you.
Probably this is the reason that we like to breathe in a place with clear and clean environment, as the availability of oxygen is facile over there. Though I have read that oxygen is the second most abundant gas present in the atmosphere. Nitrogen, which is most abundant gas present in the air, is a stable gas and does not react easily with other substances, and that's why its quantity is high and stable in the atmosphere.
So students, you can see here in air, nitrogen is the most abundant gas. Abundant means the volume of nitrogen is more in the air than oxygen. Oxygen is only 21%, nitrogen is 78%. Okay.
You got it right. We also suffocate where air pollution is high or where something burns. Because many toxic substances also enter our body with the air. Why don't we try this as an experiment?
I know what to do. Wait, I will be back in a minute.
Ankit runs and brings a plate, a candle, and both start doing the experiment. Ankit lights up the candle in the plate. Pawan slowly pours water in the plate and fills it to the half. Now Ankit covers the candle with a glass. The candle light starts to flicker and extinguishes after a while.
See, the water level has risen up in the glass. It means that the space created by the burning of oxygen was taken up by water.
And see, fumes have also filled the glass. It is probably a mixture of carbon dioxide and toxic gases.
What an interesting experiment it was. Have you seen that whenever we burn wood, it gives black fumes? That fume is a mixture of many gases, of which CO2 is the main component.
Yes, I heard in TV news that the pollution level of cities like Delhi, Lucknow often rises up, in which carbon dioxide is the main component, due to which people struggle to breathe and can only see up to short distances. In winters, fog limits the visibility even more because of this.
Absolutely correct. When we travel up towards the sky, the quantity of oxygen and air decreases with height, due to which breathing is tougher on high mountains.
Okay, now we have had enough discussion on the composition of air. Now we should focus on our science exhibition.
Why don't we burn a plank of wood or camphor used in prayers instead of candles and use some chemicals instead of water, which could change the color of fumes on getting mixed with carbon dioxide?
Wow, Pawan, brilliant idea. Our experiment will be the best one. We should take our teacher's help for this.
Of course, maybe this experiment was performed by many students, but with a few changes we could make this pretty much competitive for the exhibition.
Pawan, enough of studies. Let's put the things we have gathered on their places and go to play.
Sixth. But before we begin with our lesson, I will ask you some questions, and dear children, you try to answer these questions. So, the first question is, can you tell me why do we need air around us?
Student, this is the answer for question for you. Why do we need air around us? Give the answers. Yes. Why do we need air around us? आंसर बताओ जल्दी से.
Yes, the correct answer for this is that we all need air to breathe. Children, you all must have felt the presence of air in many ways. If I ask you that have you ever seen air, then surely your answer will be no, we have not seen the air. So, how is it that we notice the presence of air? Yes, children, this is the topic for discussion of our today's lesson. Today, we will study about air. What is air made up of? Availability of air to animals and plants living in water and soil. How is the oxygen in the atmosphere replaced? And in the rotates when the child runs. Children round us. When the child runs, as you can see here, that a child is running while holding a filky in his hand and fly in the sky. Now, answer for both these situations is same. That is, the filky is rotating and the kite is flying because of the moving air. Children, do you know that as the air moves, it moves along with it anything, probably the lighter things that come in its way. You may have noticed that when the wind blows at a very high speed, it may even uproot trees and blow off the rooftops along with it. Let us now study about the physical properties of air. For this, we will have to perform an activity. Take an empty bottle. Now, turn it upside down and dip it into the bucket filled with water. Children, what do you observe? Do you notice anything happening in the bottle? Now, tilt the bottle slightly. What do you observe, children? Do you notice bubbles coming out of it? Or hear any bubbly sound? Can you guess what was there inside the bottle? Yes, you are thinking correctly. Actually, it is the air which is present in the bottle. The bottle was not empty at all. In fact, it was filled completely with air even when you turned it upside down. That is why you notice that water does not enter the bottle when it is pushed in an inverted position, as there was no space for air to escape. When the bottle was tilted, the air was able to come out in the form of bubbles, and the water filled up the empty space that air has occupied. This activity shows that air occupies space. It fills all the space in the bottle. It is present everywhere around us. Air has no color and we can see through it. It is transparent. Our earth is surrounded by a thin layer of air. This layer extends up to many kilometers above the surface of the earth and is called atmosphere. As we move higher in the atmosphere, the air gets rarer and rarer. So, now can you think, children, why mountaineers carry oxygen cylinders with them while climbing high mountains? Children, now we will study about the composition of air. Air is a mixture of many gases like oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen and some noble gases. Children, do you have any idea that what is the importance of air in our lives? Air is essential for all of us. Have you seen or heard about a windmill? The wind makes the windmill rotate. the windmill is used to draw water from tube wells, to run floor mills, and to generate electricity. You all must have seen the ships. Do you know, children, that air is needed for sailing of these ships in water? Have you ever seen a glider or a parachute flying in the sky? And have you ever seen a person landing on earth from a parachute? They also use air for their movements or activities. Air also helps in the flying of aeroplanes. Birds, bats, and insects can also fly due to the presence of air. You have already studied about the dispersal of seeds. Air is also important and needed for the dispersal of seeds. In a much similar way, air plays an important role in water cycle also. Let us now discuss about the different elements of air. I have already told you that air is a mixture of gases. What kind of a mixture is it? Let us find out about some of the major components of this mixture one by one. First of all, we will talk about the water vapors. Air contains water vapors. We can show this with the help of an activity. For this, take a glass tumbler. It will be good if the glass is of some metallic material. Put some pieces of ice in it. After some times, you will see small droplets of water on the outer surface of the glass. Children, from where these water droplets have come? In fact, these water droplets are nothing but the water vapors which, when come in contact with a cool surface, condense to form small droplets of water. Now, after this, let us talk about oxygen. For this also, we will perform an.
So students, have you understood this one? हवा जो है, हवा में भी वाटर वेपर्स जो है वो होते हैं. तो फ्रिज की बॉटल जो है, ठंडी बॉटल अगर हम निकाल के रख देते हैं, तो when these water vapors they come in contact with the bottle, it becomes cold, and the vapors which are present in the air, they condense and they become liquid.
Activity.
Another activity.
Fix two small candles of same length on a table and light both the candles. Now, cover one of the candle with an inverted glass tumbler. Observe both the candles carefully. Do both the candles continue to burn or go off? You will observe that the candle covered with the glass will extinguish after some time, while the other candle will continue burning. What can be the reason for this? Children, just think about it. It seems that the candle got extinguished because the component inside the glass which supports burning is limited, and when most of it is used up by the burning candle, the candle extinguishes. However, the other candle is getting a continuous supply of air and this component which helps in burning. So children, this component of air which supports burning is known as oxygen. Children, let us now talk about another component of air, that is nitrogen. Did you observe in the activity we have just now performed that air is still present in the glass even after the candle blew out? This indicates the presence of some components in the air which do not support burning. This major part of air which does not support burning is nitrogen. Children, now about carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is also present in air. In a closed room, if there is some material that is burning, you may have felt suffocation. This is due to excess of carbon dioxide that may be accumulating in the room as the burning continues. Carbon dioxide makes up a small component of air around us. It is advisable not to burn dry leaves and discarded remains of the crop as it pollutes the environment and increases the level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. In addition to carbon dioxide, oxygen, water vapors and nitrogen, the air also has dust and smoke. The burning of fuel also produces smoke. Smoke contains a few gases and fine dust particles and is often harmful. That is why you see long chimneys in factories. This takes the harmful smoke and gases away from our nose. Dust particles are always present in air. Let us perform an activity and see this. Find a sunny room at your home. Close all the doors and windows with curtains pulled down to make the room dark. Now open the door or a window facing the sun just a little in such a way that it allows sunlight to enter the room only through a slit. Look carefully at the incoming beam of sunlight. You will see that some tiny shiny particles are moving very fastly in the beam of light. What are these particles? These particles are nothing but dust particles present in air. The presence of dust particles in air varies from time to time and from place to place. During winters, you might have observed similar beam of sunlight filtered through the trees in which dust particles appear to dance merrily around. When we breathe through our nostrils, we inhale air. Fine hair and mucus are present inside the nose to prevent dust particles from getting into the respiratory system. So, we conclude from this that air is a mixture of some gases, water vapors and dust particles. The gases in air are mainly nitrogen, oxygen, small amount of carbon dioxide and many other gases. However, there may be some variations in the composition of air from place to place.
Students, remember that this diagram or the diagram in your textbook, if it is there, this you have to draw it in your notebook. This is the composition of air. That means air contains, here you can see more amount of nitrogen, blue color, that is light blue color, then 21% oxygen, then carbon dioxide, and very little is the noble gases.
We see that air contains mostly nitrogen and oxygen. In fact, these two gases together make up 99% of the air. The remaining 1% is carbon dioxide and a few other gases and water vapor. Availability of air for animals and plants living in water and soil. Let us perform an activity and see if air is present in water and soil or not. For this, take some water in a glass or metal container and heat it slowly. Well before the water begins to boil, look carefully at the inner surface of the container. We will see tiny bubbles on the inside. These bubbles come from the air dissolved in water. When we heat the water, the air dissolved in it escapes in the form of bubbles. And if we continue to heat this water, it will change into water vapors on boiling. We know that the organisms living in water use the dissolved oxygen in water for breathing. Now we will talk about the animals which live deep into the soil. They also need oxygen for breathing. How do they get the air they need for breathing? Let us perform another activity to understand this. Take a lump of dry soil in a beaker. Add water to it and note what happens. We see that as the soil starts absorbing water, bubbles start coming out of it. These bubbles show the presence of air in the soil. The organisms that live inside the soil make burrows or deep holes in the soil. These burrows make spaces available for air to move in and out of the soil. However, when it rains heavily, water fills up all the spaces occupied by the air in the soil. In this situation, animals living in the soil have to come out to breathe, and this is the reason, children, why organisms like earthworms and snakes come out of the soil during rainy season. Now we will discuss how is oxygen in the atmosphere replaced. We all know that every living being needs oxygen for breathing. Not only this, oxygen is also needed when we burn anything. When oxygen is used up at such a large scale, then the question arises that how is the balance of oxygen maintained in the atmosphere? The balance of oxygen is maintained through the process of photosynthesis. In this process, plants make their own food and oxygen is produced along with it. Plants also consume oxygen for respiration, but they produce more of it than they consume. So, in this way, plants add oxygen to the atmosphere. And the reality is that all animals are living because of the oxygen produced by the plants. The carbon dioxide produced by the animals during respiration is utilized by plants during photosynthesis. And during photosynthesis, the plants produce oxygen, which is essential for all living beings. Dear children, let us now revise.
So student, this was the lesson air around us. Everyone have understood. All the activities also were given. How the air is used by the burning process, because the burning or combustion requires oxygen. Then what is the percentage of oxygen in the air and everything. Okay, how the air contracts and expands. It expands on heating and contracts on cooling. Okay, सभी एक्टिविटीज दी हुई है यहीं पर, आप फिर से इसको देख सकते हो एक्टिविटीज को सभी को. अंडरस्टूड? जस्ट वेट, आई विल गिव द लिंक टू यू स्टूडेंट्स. Just take the link and fill it, everyone. submit it. Okay, have you submitted? So tomorrow quiz on the same lesson, read it again, the same lesson, that is air around us. Okay, question and answers will be asked to you. Read the lesson. Yes. Submit it everyone. Yes. So thank you students.